Hi guys, today we are going to discuss about the animal tissue which is from the structural organization. This is most important topic for NEET or APEAPCET. Okay. There are 4 types of tissue guys, that is epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, nervous tissue and connective tissue. Okay. What are the tissues are 4 where they can originate from? Okay. We are going to discuss about detail about every tissue. First, epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue and connective tissue. Connective tissue, muscular tissue, muscular tissue and nervous tissue. Nervous tissue. Mainly these 4 types of tissues are there in the animal body. Okay. Where they can origin? Okay. They can origin from 3 germ layers in the embryonic development. Embryonic development first started 3 germ layers. From the 3 germ layers, they started to form these 4 types of tissues. What are the germ layers? First, ectoderm, ectoderm and mesoderm, and endoderm. So, these 4 kind of cells, tissues originated from 3 germ layers. 4 tissues in our animal body, only these type of tissues are there. They can originate from these 3 types of germ layers. Okay? Yeah, epithelial tissue originated from which layer, and muscular tissue and connective tissue, nervous tissue originated from which layer. This is the most important for exam point of view. If come to the epithelial tissue, nervous tissue is coming from ectoderm. Nervous tissue is originated from ectoderm. So, nervous tissue is originated from ectodermal origin. Okay. Connective tissue and muscular tissue, most important, connective tissue and muscular tissue originated from mesoderm. Okay. Connective tissue and muscular tissue are the mesodermal origin. Okay. If come to the epithelial tissue, epithelial tissue originated from which germ layer? Epithelial tissue is, so this epithelial tissue originated from 3 germ layers guys. Epithelial tissue originated from 3 germ layers. Germ layers are what? Germ layers, they can form body, organs, every cell, every tissue. That is the stem cells, capability of stem cells. So, here epithelial tissue originated from 3 germ layers. Does it mean in the human body everywhere there is a epithelial tissue in certain forms? Everywhere there is a epithelial tissue in certain forms. What are the types? Epithelial tissue are everywhere in our body. What are the types? Epithelial tissue are the types which is first squamous epithelial tissue, okay, cuboidal epithelial tissue, columnar epithelial tissue and ciliated epithelial tissue and pseudostratified epithelial tissue and glandular epithelial tissue. Glandular. epithelial tissue. So, based on their structure of the epithelial tissue, these types: squamous, squash like structure, squamous; cuboidal, cube shape like this; and columnar, this slender like structure. Okay. Ciliated, there is a cilia of the epithelial tissue surface. And pseudo means false, some false appearance of the cells. Glandular, they can modify it into gland to release something mucus, glandular. Okay. These types of the epithelial tissue everywhere in our body. Okay. Previous class we did complete squamous epithelial tissue, and this class we are going to discuss cuboidal epithelial tissue, columnar epithelial tissue, ciliated epithelial tissue, and pseudo-stratified epithelial tissue. We are going to discuss in this class. Okay? Yep. Yep. And we are going to discuss about cuboidal epithelial tissue this time. Okay? Yes, cuboidal. What is the definition? Just look into this. This is the cube shape. Okay? Simple cuboidal means single layer. Simple cuboidal. Cuboidal, two types, guys. Simple, two types. Simple cuboidal and stratified. Simple nothing but there is a single layer, cubes, right? Cube like structure, only single layer and basement membrane. Okay? This is simple. If the multi-layer, unlike single layer, if the multi-layer, there is a stratified. Mean multi-layer mean these cubes are in certain number of rows. Like more than one layer. This is the base membrane. This is cuboidal cells. Okay, cuboidal cells. Right. Cuboidal cells. Sorry guys. Yeah, we are going to discuss about cuboidal cells. Okay. Yeah. Definition. What is the definition? Okay. There is a cube. The epithelial tissue is composed of cube shaped. The function of the cuboidal cells: secretion, absorption and excretion. Secretion, absorption, excretion, guys. Secretion means where there is a certain fluid to secretes. Okay. So, absorption, where there is a absorption mean in the nephron there is a certain fluid to absorb which is filtered from the Bowman's capsule. Okay. Whereas there is a excretion, certain fluid to excrete, okay, where there is a saliva like this. Okay. Yeah. The function of this cuboidal epithelium, simple cuboidal: absorption, excretion and secretion. I am talking about simple cuboidal. The function is what? Secretion, excretion and absorption. Okay. Yes. And as well, yeah. So, the cells are the cuboidal, just remind it, cells are always cuboidal. Nucleus is round and centrally placed. This is the most important, guys. This is the most important. Nucleus is centrally and round spaced. Central and round spaced. Okay? Yes. And as well, where there is a located, some cuboidal are the microvilli. Some cuboidal are the microvilli. Okay? Microvilli. Just look into this microvilli, some cuboidal cells. Okay. And where there is a cuboidal cells are comes under microvilli. Just we are going to discuss next. Okay. Next slide. Okay. Guys, here look into this. We are talking about simple cuboidal. Simple cuboidal epithelium mean single layer, where there is a location. Kidney tubules mean nephron, okay, DCT, okay. Yeah, PCT, DCT is there in the nephron, okay. This is the nephron where there is a PCT, where there is a DCT. If come to this nephron, okay. Okay, this is nephron, okay. This part PCT, proximal convoluted tube, proximal mean near the Bowman's capsule. This is the DCT, distal convoluted tube, this is the DCT. Here this is the PCT part, this is the DCT part, Just look into this. PCT part and DCT part are the modified epithelial tissue. There is a epithelial tissue modified into the simple cuboidal in the part of the nephron, which is PCT, proximal convoluted tube, and DCT, distal convoluted tube. Okay? Yeah, in the this modified, why it is modified? They can absorb the fluid which is filtered from the Bowman's capsule. Okay? They can modify. This is the simple cuboidal. This is the simple cuboidal, which is modified into the microvilli, where PCT part. Most important, guys, PCT part of the epithelial cells, simple cuboidal epithelial cells are modified in the PCT into the microvilli. Microvilli mean there is a finger like projections. This is the cytoplasm. They can modify it into the finger like projection. Cytoplasm to modify it into the finger like projections we can call microvilli. Where PCT part. For the increase the surface area for reabsorption of the fluid from the filtered material. Okay, that is PCT. What about DCT? DCT have only cuboidal, not microvilli, brush border cuboidal. This is brush border cuboidal. Brush border cuboidal, where? In the PCT part. But simple cuboidal, which is normal cuboidal at DCT part, there brush border cuboidal in the PCT part, guys. Okay, you have to look into this, the nephron. Okay, yes, brush border cuboidal. Okay, 80% reabsorption going to take place with the brush border cuboidal in the PCT part of the nephron. Okay, glandular epithelium mean this is the simple cuboidal turned into the gland and ducts. Simple cuboidal, they can modify it into the glands and ducts. Okay, for their next function, salivary glands. Simple cuboidal located at salivary glands in the form of gland, glandular epithelium tissue, and pancreas, guys, and thyroid follicles. Okay, surface of the ovaries. Okay, surface of the ovaries. Just look into this. Glandular ducts, where salivary glands, pancreas, and thyroid follicles, and as well surface of the ovaries. Where there is a cuboidal epithelial tissue into the modified into the glands and ducts. Okay, and function. Yeah, we discussed absorption, right? In the kidney, there is a microvilli like structure, they can absorb the fluid. Mean where there is a function is absorption and secretion. Okay? Yeah, secretion, absorption and secretion. Where there is a gland which is they can secrete salivary, there is a saliva secretion, and as well thyroid glands. Okay? Absorption there is a kidney part, and secretion is the thyroid and salivary glands, where there is a cuboidal epithelial tissue. Okay? This, yeah, you have to remember in this, especially location and function they can ask you. First priority is location, second priority about their function in the exam point of view. Okay? Cool. And next, okay, stratified cuboidal. Simple cuboidal we completed, right? Stratified cuboidal. Okay? Stratified cuboidal. One minute, guys. Yes, stratified cuboidal epithelium. Stratified, as we discussed, multi-layer. Simple cuboidal is the single layer, stratified cuboidal is the multi-layer. Okay? This is multi-layer, right? One layer, this is the cube and another layer. As it is same, the centrally located nucleus and cube-like structure cells, stratified cuboidal. Okay? Cube-like structure is there and centrally located nucleus. Stratified means there is a layers more than one. Okay? Where there is a location of the stratified cuboidal, most important, sweat glands, mammary glands, salivary ducts. Stratified cuboidal is sweat glands, mammary ducts and salivary ducts. Mammary glands and salivary ducts. They can secrete something, right? Sweat and milk and saliva. Sweat, milk and saliva. These three secretions are going to take place within the location of the cuboidal, multi-layer cuboidal, which is stratified cuboidal. And function, protection against the mechanical stress and secretion. Secretion is this. Guys, blindly remember, where there is a stratified cells, stratified like epithelial tissue, they can involve in the mechanical protection of the mechanical stress, protection from the mechanical stress. And one more thing, squamous epithelial tissue do not have stratified. This is the most important. Squamous epithelial tissue, they do not have stratified, they only single layer. If they come to the cuboidal and columnar epithelial tissue are the multi-layered, okay, stratified. There is a, blindly you have to remember the function is against the mechanical stress. Any pressure going to take place in the tissue where there is a stratified epithelial tissue can protect. And as well secretion of the sweat gland, mammary gland and salivary gland. Okay? This is about stratified cuboidal epithelial tissue. If come to the next slide. Sorry guys. Yeah. If come to the next slide. Okay? Yeah. Columnar epithelial tissue. Columnar epithelial tissue. Okay? Yes. Columnar epithelial tissue. Columnar epithelial tissue, just look into this structure. They are slender like structure. Slender like structure mean long elongated structure. Okay? This is the most important. The nucleus of this columnar epithelial tissue is just base side, okay, nucleus about the base, okay, columnar epithelium, okay. there is a type of epithelial tissue made up of with tall and column like cells with elongated nuclei. Okay. The cells are tall and pillar shaped and nucleus is elongated and base area. They located at base area. This is the most important, not centrally located. They located at base area. Okay. Yes. Some are have microvilli. Some are microvilli in nature. Some columnar epithelial tissue are, they can modify it into the microvilli. Okay. Where some are cilia. Okay. Yeah, where there is a microvilli, where there is a cilia. Okay. Yeah, just look into this. Upper respiratory tract have ciliated columnar epithelial tissue. What is upper respiratory tract? You know respiratory system. In the respiratory system there is a trachea. Okay. In the respiratory system there is a trachea. Okay. Trachea, this is the trachea. Trachea have certain columnar epithelial tissue is there. In the trachea level. Okay. Ciliated columnar epithelial tissue. Okay. What is ciliated? This is the columnar epithelial tissue, long elongated, and this is the cilia, guys. Cilia. Okay. There is cilia like projections. Now, unlike microvilli, the projections are finger like projection, they can evolve from the cytoplasm, but this is not evolved from the cytoplasm. This is the most important. The ciliated epithelial tissue in the upper respiratory tract, ciliated columnar epithelial tissue, most important, ciliated columnar epithelial tissues are located in the upper respiratory tract. They can trap the bacteria through the secretion of mucus. They can release the mucus and trap the bacteria, and this is useful for the trap the bacteria and conduction of the air to allow the trachea. Okay. Air means oxygen to allow into the trachea. This is useful for the conduction phase. Okay. And as well to trap the bacteria and kill the bacteria with the mucus, most important. Okay. And yeah, ciliated columnar epithelial tissue are there in the upper respiratory tract, and some are they are modified into the goblet cells. Goblet cells mean they can secrete something fluid. Okay. Where there is a goblet cells, there is a upper respiratory tract also, some columnar epithelial tissues are modified into the goblet cells. In the upper respiratory tract there is a columnar epithelial tissue modified into the cilia, and some are modified into the goblet cells to secrete mucus to trap the bacteria. Okay. Yep. And next slide. Okay. Next types, yeah, like cuboidal, this is also two types, guys. This is also two types. Okay. Two types. Simple columnar epithelium, single layer. Okay. Simple columnar epithelium is there, single layer, and stratified columnar is also there, multi-layer. Where there is a simple, the lining of the stomach, location most important, and small intestine and large intestine, especially digestive tract. Okay. Digestive tract. Okay. small intestine and a large stomach wall, small intestine wall and a large intestine wall. Just look into this. This is the stomach, okay, small intestine later on and a large intestine, especially columnar epithelial tissue. They can smoothen the area for the absorption of the food particles, okay. And yeah, if come to this gallbladder also, there is a simple columnar and some are modified into the glandular ducts. Where there is a simple columnar epithelial tissue is going to take place, that is stomach, tract, like small intestine and large intestine, guys. And functions mean absorption. Small intestine food particles, obviously absorption, right? Yep. And small intestine absorption, the nutrients absorbs in the small intestine. And secretion, some goblet cells, they can secrete the mucus for the lubrication in the small intestine, okay. This is about simple columnar epithelium tissue, okay. If come to the next slide, okay, ciliated columnar, simple columnar and next ciliated columnar, okay. Ciliated columnar mean columnar is turned into the cilia, yeah, turn into the cilia. Respiratory tract, as we discussed, trachea and bronchi, most important, guys. Where there is a trachea, where there is a bronchi, most important, okay. Yes, this is the respiratory tract. This is the respiratory tract, again to form tract. First area, this is the area is trachea. Trachea. This is the branch, further trachea further divided into bronchi. Trachea further divided into bronchi. Bronchi. Later on, bronchiole. Most important, guys, trachea as such a ciliated columnar epithelial tissue. Trachea. If bronchi as certain ciliated columnar epithelial tissue? No. Bronchi has the lower respiratory tract as cuboidal ciliated epithelial tissue. This is the most important. Trachea, upper trachea, columnar ciliated epithelial tissue. Lower trachea, okay, cuboidal, ciliated epithelial tissue. This may be question. Ciliated epithelial tissue, there is a columnar ciliated epithelial tissue and as well cuboidal ciliated epithelial tissue is there. Mean columnar epithelial tissue modified into the ciliated and cuboidal epithelial tissue also modified into the ciliated. But columnar epithelial, ciliated epithelial place is upper trachea, but cuboidal ciliated tissue is the place is lower trachea, which is bronchi and bronchiole. Okay, cool. Yep. And where there is a again ciliated, the movement of particle, the functions, and as well one more example, female reproductive tract. This is the female reproductive tract. Okay, in this there is a ciliated columnar epithelial tissue. Ciliated columnar epithelial tissue located at female reproductive tract. This is the most important. Mean cilia, they can move the object. This is the columnar cilia like structure. If any dust particle or any objective come into the surface, they can move either back or front. They can move the object. Okay, here female reproductive system, there is a ova release at ovary. This is the ovary place, ova release, but ova is supposed to be transferred into the fallopian tube for the fertilization. Okay. In that way, here ciliated epithelial tissue useful for the move the ova into the fallopian tube, which is released into the ovary, Ova release in the ovary part, that should be to move into the fallopian tube for the fertilization. Here ciliated epithelial tissue helps to move the ova into the fallopian tube for the fertilization. This is most important, guys. Okay. Yeah, respiratory tract and fallopian tube, ciliated columnar epithelial tissue is there. Okay. Protection, prevents the dust and microbes from the entering into the lungs. Yeah, of course, they can trap the bacteria to secrete the mucus and they can trap the bacteria. Okay. This is the protection. Okay. Yeah, guys, cool. Next slide. Wait a minute, guys. Yeah, today it is over, guys. Tomorrow we will discuss later part. Thank you.